Anyone who has watched my channel knows that I love using Opus in all of my automations because in my opinion, it is the best model out there. Today, we're diving deep into the evolution of Claude's most powerful models, from Opus 3 through Opus 4 and all the way to the current flagship that was released yesterday, Opus 4.1. We're talking about 3 generations of AI excellence, a model that now scores 74.5 on real-world coding benchmarks, and is officially the #1 coding model in the world. Let's understand what makes each iteration unique, how they've evolved in order to serve more complex challenges. So here's what we're covering. We're going to track the model evolution from Opus 3 through Opus 4. Then we are going to concentrate on performance gains and real-world benchmarks. Next, the key technical features and capabilities. And finally, the practical use cases so you know when to use each model. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Opus dominates the AI landscape. So let's start with the evolution. First, we understand the timeline. So Opus 3 was there at the beginning. It's where everything began. Opus 3 is the model that established the Opus tier of Anthropic's most capable algorithms. It set the foundation for complex reasoning tasks that became a baseline for everything that came after. Then came Opus 4, and this is where things got really interesting. Opus 4 achieved 72.5% on the SWE benchmark. That's real-world coding, not theoretical benchmarks. Here's what really matters. It reduced shortcuts and loopholes by 65% compared to previous models. Plus, it brought dramatic memory improvements that allowed it to work continuously for hours. Now we have Claude Opus 4.1, the current flagship. 74.5% on SWE verified benchmarks. That is a full standard deviation improvement over Opus 4. To put that in perspective, that's the same leap we saw from Sonnet 3.7 to Sonnet 4. It's not just an update, it's a significant improvement. Now, let's talk performance. And these numbers are going to blow you away. So, Claude Opus 4.1 with a 74.5% SWE score. OpenAI's O series got 69%. That's a 5 percentage point lead for Opus 4. Gemini 2.5 Pro, 63.2%. That's a 54, and then GPT 4.1, 54.6%. Opus 4 isn't just winning, it's significantly dominating by a huge margin. And these aren't synthetic benchmarks either, guys. This is SWE-bench verified, measuring exactly how well AI can identify and actually fix bugs in open source software. So let's break down the generational gaps. Opus 3 to Opus 4, we saw massive improvements. First, 65% fewer shortcuts and loopholes. The model stopped taking the easy way out, essentially. Second, it gained the ability to continuously work for hours on complex tasks. Third, major memory improvements that fundamentally changed what the model could accomplish. When we shifted from Opus 3 to Opus 4, that's when I became an enormous fan. That's when I swapped it as the default for pretty much everything that I do automation-wise. Now, Opus 4 to 4.1, these improvements are even more refined, but equally important. 2% gain on SWE-bench might sound small, but it's a full standard deviation. In AI terms, that is enormous. Multi-file fracturing got significantly better too. So if you're working with large databases, this is a game changer, which means if you're doing client work, such as debugging a client database, this is very, very important to get things much quicker and much more detailed. Now, the attention to detail in multi-step problems is much, much better than it was previously. So let's get technical. All Opus 4 models, including 4.1, have a 200,000 token context window. That's enough to handle massive documents and entire code bases. I've only ever maxed it out once. Opus 4.1 supports 32,000 output tokens. That means you can generate huge code bases or really detailed reports from a single response. It can use up to 64,000 tokens for extended thinking when tackling really complex tasks. The best part is the pricing has remained the same. $15 per million tokens input, $75 per million tokens output. We've got an enormous uplift, but haven't had to pay any more for it. So when should you use each model? Opus 4 excels at tasks requiring sustained effort. Hours of independent research, use Opus 4. Large-scale code refactoring across multiple files, Opus 4. Multi-step problems with thousands of steps, again, Opus 4. Creating, maintaining, memory files for long-term context, Opus 4. I use Opus 4 and I'm now using Opus 4.1 to brainstorm all of the content for this channel. Rather than using a Word document, I'm using Opus and one Opus chat because you have an enormous ability to store data in there. Opus 4 takes this to the next level. It's industry leading at identifying and fixing bugs, which is important, especially if you're using tools like N8N, which historically, no one's really been able to debug. And I'm really excited to get testing on that tomorrow. Now, it can plan and execute complete end-to-end development projects. That's enormous. And here's what I really love. It adapts to your style of coding better than any previous model. And remember that multi-file refactoring? It's way better than in Opus 4. So how do you actually get access to these models? First, the web interface. You'll need either Pro, Max, Team, or Enterprise plans for Opus. For developers, the API integration is available. That's how I intend to use it for my integrations, and I use 4.1 with my Max plan every day. Now, Claude Code is genuinely available. This is terminal-based coding with Opus. So you've just unlocked it all. And essentially it's on Amazon Bedrock and Google Cloud's Vortex AI for enterprise development. Opus 4.1 is now in preview on GitHub Copilot. That integration is fantastic for development workflows. Key takeaways. Claude Opus 4.1 is now the #1 coding model in the world that's based on benchmarks. 74.5% on SWE-bench, leading the industry. It's a 5 percentage points above OpenAI's best models. Better than 4.1, better than Gemini 2.5 Pro, better than everything else out there. This is why I use Opus. I've said it before, even if you're using simple tasks, even if you're not going to be doing huge developments, if you're customizing emails, personalizing, a DBR, if you're doing anything and you're selling it to a business client, use Opus. It's a fractional cost and the results they get will help them stay with you for a very, very long time. So go and try 4.1 in your automations. Let me know the difference that you see. And I'd love to hear your notes. What projects have you found you can now actually implement with Opus that you couldn't previously implement before? See you next time.